very common in a basement such as this, which is an early 1900s built home, to have barely any lighting. Now this is a very approachable project to many DIYers if they're comfortable doing their own electrical work. So today I'm going to show you how to do just that by running a new piece of wire from this electrical box that has a lamp holder in it and run it back to the end of the basement here and just simply add another ceiling electrical box and a new lamp holder to brighten up the space. So with just about an hour of your time, you can make a whole lot of difference in the lighting of your basement, a crawl space, or even up in your attic. So let's jump into it. So a little more details on our project. We have the switch over here right by our door. It's gonna run over to our ceiling electrical box that has a lamp holder installed. That is, we're gonna branch off our Romex. We're gonna run it through these joists here by drilling holes through, and then bring it all the way back to this already installed electrical box, and that's where we'll be adding the lamps. So overall, a pretty straightforward project, and then we'll talk a little bit more why you shouldn't be running your Romex like you see here when it's just stapled on the bottom of the floor joist. So first up, I'm going to actually start laying out my Romex, getting it to the path that I want, and drilling through these floor joists, and then we'll go ahead and splice everything in. Now, depending on how clean of an install you're going for, you can either just eyeball drilling through these joists. I have like 6 or 7 that I'm gonna need to drill through. Or you can just simply use a piece of string like I have here. And then that's gonna give you your reference marks you can use. So you consistently, in a straight line, drill through your floor joists. So now for the floor joist, I know where I want to drill from left to right in the room. And now I'm gonna mark consistently how high on the floor joist I want to be drilling the holes. Now remember, you should not be drilling too high or too low. Usually you're looking for like a 2-inch no-fly zone. So you don't want Romex going too low or too high, because that's if somebody's securing something to the floor joist and they sink a nail and your Romex is close to the edge, then the nail can pierce your Romex and lead to bigger issues. So what I'm gonna do is mark 3 inches up. Right, so now I'm ready to start drilling through the floor joist. All I'm gonna use is a 5/8 spade bit. Now, depending on how many you're going through, you might wanna use more like a 3/4, which could make getting that Romex through, let's say 10, 15, 20 joists a little bit easier. But since I'm only going through 7 joists, the 5/8 should be fine. Before you start drilling, always check the back side to make sure you're not gonna be drilling into anything. And remember to use eye protection, especially when working overhead. So I mentioned this at the start. You can see this 12-2 Romex, which is secured with staples to the bottom of the floor joist. Now that in most places would not pass code, and most of the code is associated to safety, durability, reliability, and trying to avoid failures. So with this being non-metallic or Romex, the protection is minimal. So with it exposed to the bottom of a floor joist like this, really, if you're even moving things into your basement, let's say it's a metal storage shelf, and it even nicks this Romex, you can see how that would easily possibly cause a short and could be a dangerous situation. That's why it is preferred to drill holes like we did on the one side, where our floor joists were going side to side, or run up in the cavity between the floor joists as a best practice. Now with the staples, I usually do more than enough. So just as long as you have one every about 4 foot, you're doing good. And then there should be a staple within 12 inches of your electrical box, the new one that we installed. So now we'll wire up that new lamp holder. All right, so we have our Romex. It's cut to about 4 inches of wire past the electrical box here. We stripped off the extra insulation. So we have our neutral, our bare ground and our hot. All we're going to be doing is installing this Eaton lamp holder. This is a basic porcelain lamp holder. You can get plastic lamp holders. You can get lamp holders with on-out switches built in. You can get lamp holders with an outlet built in. And then as always, gold is going to be your hot, and then the silver is going to be your neutral. Just remember, when securing the wire, your hook, your shepherd's hook, to the screws, you always want to go in the clockwise direction. So when you're tightening the screw down, the wire would have a tendency to pull around the screw. Now, if you have a pair of needle nose pliers, it's not bad to actually close up that shepherd's hook a little bit. So even if that screw starts to back out, it'll want to hold on to that terminal. And then we'll do that same thing for the neutral. And then tighten the terminal down. Now the ground's going to be unused on this lamp holder. If you had that built-in outlet, you would be using the ground to make sure you have a ground for the 3-prong outlet. But in this case, we're going to tuck it up and just make sure it's clear and out of the way of your other terminals. The lamp holder does come with 2 832 mounting screws. Those will go in the outside holes of this electrical box, but they are a bit long. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my pair of linesman's pliers and trim these down quite a bit. Then I'll go ahead and get those started. Now just one note, when you trim those 832s down, if you have a plastic box, they're much easier to get them to thread in. If you had a metal box, because you kind of bugger up the ends of those threads, you might have to do a little work before you'll get them to start actually threading into the electrical box. All right, so now we'll just match up our screws. Loosen up a little bit. And then I'll tighten them down, but remember, this is a porcelain lamp holder, so do not tighten them down too much, or you might crack your housing and you'll be going back down to the home improvement store to get another one. So one more step and then we'll test it out. So now we'll tie everything together. I'll just undo this lamp holder. Bring my 14-2 in. All right, so the way we'll tie this all together is I took the lamp holder and I already wired in 2 Wago 221 lever nuts. Now this is one of the reasons I really like the Wagos for these type of projects, because I already put my pigtails on the lamp holder. Then I can just bring in the 12 gauge coming from the switch, and then the 14 gauge going to our new lamp holder. Now my neutrals are all connected up, and I can do that same thing for the hot side, making sure I'm bottoming out the copper before flipping the switch or flipping the lever, and then doing a pull test, making sure everything's good. Now, even though I'm not grounding that lamp holder at the end, I am going to bring together these grounds just with a 2-pin lever nut, keep things clean. Tuck everything back up, putting the neutral on one side, hot on the other. mounting our lamp holder. Again, not over tightening because it is porcelain, we don't want to damage it. So now let's test out that bulb back there. I'll flip the switch. All right, looks like we are good to go. If you need more light and you don't want to do any more wiring, you can get one of these guys. They're multi-head LED arrays that you can adjust, and they're extremely bright and can really lighten up a space. So you can look down in the description. I'll show you the parts that we use, the Waga 221 lever nuts, but also I'll put a link so you can see those if you haven't already. Now, if you have more lighting projects in your future, check out this video right here where I show you how to install the small, thin LED recessed wafer lights, which can be an awesome addition to your living space. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you on that next video.